Hello, and thank you very much for joining me today for this webinar where we will be looking at accountancy and the future of accounting. Thank you for joining us on this lunch hour. Just to give you a little introduction, I'm Dr. Claire Walsh. I'm the Director of Education at the Institute of Analytics. And we've been listening to our accountants and our finance experts for a number of years. I'll talk to you about that in a moment. And we realized that there is more we could do to support. And so in this webinar, I'm going to do something I never do. I'm going to talk about myself for 5 minutes because I think there's a little bit of relevant experience that I can share with you. We'll talk about the directions accountancy could go. More importantly, we'll talk about what are your best next steps if you are working in the field of accounting. I am not an accountant, I'm a data analyst, but I know enough financial analytics to be able to have a meaningful conversation with you about these things and to be able to advise as well some of the accounting experts on things that perhaps are outside of their training. So we're going to have a look at how we can future-proof our career. And I hope you're seeing my slides. We don't have the chat enabled today, but we do have a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please do ask them in the Q&A and I will keep an eye on that as we go through. Right, let's get forward. So me, I have experienced technological replacement in my past. And I think this is relevant. If we go back to 2014, I had a very different life. I was an author, a very successful global author. And in 2014, it was a landmark year for social media. Although we had social media for 10 years at that point, 2014 was around that time when smartphone ownership went from 20% of the population to 80% in about 18 months. And we started realizing in 2014, we had to have conversations about where book publishing was going, physical book publishing, what was going to be the future. Would there still be a demand for someone like me? I spent decades building my expertise to be able to write good learning materials. And I was paid well for it, and I didn't really want to change. And I think that's where we are with accounting today. We're kind of in a different technology, but 2022 for accounting was that year when we realized, you know what, these new technologies could do the job of accounting and they could do it very well. So how do we respond? Back in 2014, the changeover wasn't immediate at all. In fact, we saw an increase in demand for authors like me for a couple of years, and we saw an increase in books as well. And we kind of started thinking, oh, did we get this wrong? Did we underestimate the risk? And you know, things looked like they weren't going to be as bad as we had predicted. Fast forward 10 years, and that was enough time for the change to embed and to be very profound. When I went back to speak to my colleagues 10 years later, all the arguments I told myself, like I reported directly to the global vice president, and I just thought, we have such a strong working relationship, that person, my boss, will protect me. He had to leave before I did. He wasn't there to protect me. I thought that I worked for a large global organization. They would have a plan. They would have a solution. They would be big enough to survive it. They've had problems. They've seen their shares go down, and they've had to do what all large organizations do, which is respond quickly and be able to cut back on old staff, expensive old staff with outdated skills, and rehire new staff. So I think when it comes to accounting right now, you're probably having that discussion with yourself. Do I have to act yet? It's all looking okay for the moment. Maybe I'll just wait. Maybe it will work out fine in the end. And I can tell you, by the time I went back in 2014 to talk with my colleagues who used to be in that industry, the demand had drastically reduced. The supply was very high. Although there are still some people employed in this area, the contracts are not that great, and it's just not the profession it used to be. Now then, for me, thankfully, it worked out okay, not because I was super intelligent and wise, but just because I had another passion that I decided 20 books later, it's probably time to start doing something else. And I started getting interested in learner analytics, and that required me to retrain in computer science, in data analytics. Trust me, at the time, I was not the obvious person to do a PhD in computer science at all. In fact, I would probably be the last person you would get to do that job. And I'm not going to say it was super smooth. I'm not going to say the early years were easy. I didn't go to bed one night as an author and wake up the next day as a computer science data analytics expert. It was a gradual progression. But here I am today, and actually, I've benefited massively from the fact that I started that transition before the really bad signs were evident. So here's that 2014 moment for accounting, I think, in 2022. Here's me on the technical stage at the World Congress of Accountants. You can spot me, I think, on the stage. This was the year when I was talking to a lot of the accountancy professional bodies, saying, we can automate historical record keeping, historical report writing, and the machine can do it pretty accurately. We've got to start thinking about where accountancy is going, because a large part of that work at the moment is about historical record keeping. And there are a couple of ways this could go. I don't know. I don't have a magic crystal ball. I think back in 2022, the future scenario we were imagining was one where we would simply have a lot fewer accountants, and we would have a lot of unemployed accountants, which is horrible thought, absolutely horrible thought if you have invested a lot of time in getting qualified. And so we were talking about things like, well, what else could accountants do? They could maybe move into more specialized areas that might expand, like forensic accounting. They could definitely move into predictive analytics. Maybe they could consider getting work in the newly emerging mandatory carbon reporting, which has a lot of parallels with mandatory financial reporting. And we were even suggesting actually AI auditing would be an ideal skill for accountants. But, it's quite distasteful to most financial experts to move out of the field. You chose this career, the vast majority of you, and you don't really want to leave it. An alternative scenario, and one I think today is probably more likely, is that we will actually have more demand for accountants, but those accountants will be very different from the accountants today. And so the threat to today's accountants is still very, very real. But if we can transition you to a modern accountant, then I think there's a lot more job security there. So the reason why I'm going through all of this is simply because I'm talking to you. I do not need to teach you about risk strategies and risk mitigation. The approach of I'm just going to wait, I'm going to let my managers look after me, I'm going to let my organization look after me, I'm going to do nothing, is hands down the highest risk approach you can be taking to your career. And I'm going to guess that you didn't become an accountant because you like the idea of risk in your career. You could have stayed playing in a rock band if that was your plan for your future. So what can we do? What is the payoff? Because if we're not doing anything, it's because we feel there's something uncomfortable we have to do to get in a safer position. What is that uncomfortable thing we have to do? What's that payoff going to look like? to navigate you from a high risk business as usual strategy when honestly technological displacement is it's coming. How can we maneuver you into a place where you're starting to develop the skills that will be needed of these different types of accountants? And that's really what we're talking about. I think there's a timeline here. I think 2022 was the firing line, the get ready, get line. And I think 2030, 2032 is your end line. If you haven't made the move by then, I think you are going to be in trouble. I do not know this for sure, but that tends to be the time frame that we're looking at. So even though in 2025 you're absolutely fine, I would expect to start seeing some changes coming rapidly. We have this expression in English, get your ducks in a row. It's time to start thinking about how to get your ducks in a row so you're safe. It's quite easy where we're going. It's actually not a million miles from where you are. So that's the good news. Where we're heading is the role for humans is decision intelligence. It's being able to incorporate lots of different insights into actions that we need to take. So, companies need to take decisions on investment sourcing, product testing, estimating demand for products and services, product modification, marketing campaigns. And none of this is new. We've got KPIs. That's not new. We want to save costs. We want to save revenue. That is why our jobs are not that safe. What has changed is how we make that decision. And we're bringing in a lot of information, the best of human machine intelligence. So in this list, we've got the economic modeling that you are already pretty good at. But of course, where we're going is more predictive analytics. We've got general knowledge of human behavior and how people react and respond to things. We might start bringing in some machine learning. So we might do a bit of customer segmentation, and maybe you need to understand how that machine learning algorithm works, and you need to know what questions to ask and whether it's a safe algorithm to use or not. Not all of them are safe, but we need to be trained to understand how to ask questions. There will be a market view. There will be observational data that we collect on how our customers are behaving. We will be able to monitor supply pricing on the public side, keep track of changing customer demographics. All of this is observational data that we're bringing in. And then, of course, we will have other machine learning algorithms and AI tools to help us make these decisions. And yes, you're super strong on this. But to be safe, it would be really good if you had a minimal working knowledge of these other things. It doesn't mean you're going to build them. It doesn't mean you're responsible for them. It doesn't mean we're changing who you are. But you do need to be able to ask the right questions and understand how to work with these. So we were asked to carry out a skills mapping project, and we did this last year on finance and accounting. Where are you? What have you got? What are you missing? Is there anything we can do to support? And we came up with this idea of, well, lots of things in data analytics are existing skills for finance and accounting experts. You are good at this. You are very good at manipulating data in a table. There are some skills that we think it's unlikely that you have learned. I don't think you know the difference between a supervised and unsupervised algorithm. I don't think you know what the difference is between agentization and automation. Now then, I may be wrong. You may have taken training in that, but I think it's highly unlikely you have those kinds of knowledge. There will be skills that are situational, and trust me, to work with these algorithms, you have to have leadership, communication. You have to have an understanding of governance, regulatory environments. You have to be able to work in a team and work across sectors of the company. And lots of you will have developed this through your work experience. So we're calling that a situational skill. And then we have some partial skills, things where I think you're good. For example, I know you're good at manipulating data tables up to 2 million rows. How are you if we go up to 20 million? Can you still cope at that point? Do you know what adjustments you need to make? So we're going to call those partial skills. And this is our fundamental framework for decision intelligence specialists. And the good news, I won't spend too long talking about this, but please do have a look on our website at the Analyst Competency Framework where we break this down. Our associate status is for those people who are ideally suited to work with decision intelligence tools. Highly employable at the moment, massively in demand. I think something like 99% of employers are looking for this skill. And the good news is we found actually you're not that far off of completing this list. There aren't that many things that are missing completely from your training. And we have we'll send a PDF around to you so you can do a self-analysis yourself and just estimate where the risk is for you. How likely is it? So given that, okay, there are some gaps. You're not a data analyst. You're not an AI expert. You're an accountant. What are the gaps that you're experiencing? We've come up with a couple of responses. One is our Future Accountant course. This is a 15-hour course where we will just fill in some of those 12 to 15 hours. We will fill in some of those missing gaps in your training so that you can work ethically with the AI algorithms that are being embedded into solutions near you. It's available. It's not available as an independent course. The way our courses work, you become a member with us, and then you have access to any training you want. But this one in particular was designed entirely for you. So we will teach you, we will make sure if you haven't already learned how to use business intelligence systems like Power BI, Power Query, we'll make sure you have that skill. I know that in the wider workplace in 2025, being able to manipulate data in Power BI is not that unusual anymore. It's becoming a much more commonplace skill. And if you haven't got that one yet, I do think you should consider it. And the other thing we will teach you on this course is how to work with machines and how to make decisions with machine intelligence. When do you trust your humans? When do you trust your machines instead? And we'll just talk you through in our hands-on environment, so you can't fall asleep. It's not watching videos passively. You're going to be actually doing stuff, doing the manipulation 78% of the time. So when you finish the course, you can 100% go away and build a beautiful Power BI dashboard, interactive dashboard for your boss at the end of it. And they're going to be really impressed. And this is our minimal conversion course. So if you'd like to apply to us as an associate member, and our associate members carry a professional designation, they are an AIOA. This is recognized in business and industry as a mark that you have done the work and that you really can be trusted with these things. We see so many people putting themselves forwards at the moment as AI and data science experts, and they're kind of self-promoting themselves. And quite honestly, they don't even know what a regression algorithm is. So, really basic things. They have no idea what standard deviation is, and yet they consider themselves qualified to advise on these things. It's unethical, it's unprofessional. Whereas this course, what we know, regression and these things, and we'll just fill in those other gaps so that you can stand out a head and shoulders above those people. That's one option, and that's the kind of the least payoff. And I would recommend you start moving into this. Personally, I would just say, make that change, start moving into it, start seeing what's coming. You won't be afraid if you know what's coming. Whereas if you keep your head in the sand and hope it's all going to go away, it is It's your career, it's your family income, it's things that matter. Another option is our analytics portfolio. This is industry researched, and we have all of the skills that are highly in demand. We will create a profile for you. We will create a place where you can get recognition for those data analytics skills. I'm sure some of you are frustrated that you have 10 years of experience manipulating data, and sometimes, a recent graduate with no work experience gets the qualification, and your skills haven't been recognized because you developed them on the job. And so the analytics portfolio is where we can start getting you recognition for anything that you are able to do along our framework of skills and ability. And it can really help when it comes to applying for jobs. This is a public portfolio. People can explore it. They can see what you can do. It can help with planning, career planning. You might notice, oh, I'm missing this particular skill. And again, in our training environment, we have plenty of things that we can support you with. Our portfolio, I should mention, we're launching this next month. Shh, it's a secret. Don't tell anyone I told you about this today. That's another option for you to start taking control of the situation. My favorite one, hands down, my absolute favorite option for you is our Smart Finance course. Now then, let me just talk you through why I think this is so amazing. Let me close that down. So when we go into Smart Finance, we've got a lot of work on spreadsheets, business intelligence systems, and all of these tools. We'll talk you through it. It's a nice, easy learning environment. Let me just, oh no, not that one. Let me just take you through to where we have the course. These courses are not created by me. I can do them, I can do the analytics, but I'm not very well suited to do the analytics. But when you join as a member of the IOA, you get access to the entire data camp and the entire data quest leaderboard. And let me show you our customs tracks, and we'll find our finance toolkit. We've got some really amazing things in there for you, especially things like all of the data will be with finance data, real NASDAQ data, that kind of thing. We've got lots and lots of skills that you can do, developing your ability to monitor a portfolio, to predict credit risk, all sorts of things. And then we also have courses that are taught by university professors of finance, not by me, because that would not be the right thing. We've got courses that you can do in data modeling, and each of these covers all of the kinds of things that you would like to learn, from setting up alerts in Power BI when certain values go down, or automated updates to your data. And we've got some really amazing things in here. Let me just show you as well one of my favorites. Here we go. So you do not have to do any coding. That's not a requirement. But if you are interested in learning a little bit of R, it is one step on from Excel DAX modeling. It's not a huge step. You'll cope absolutely fine, I promise you. And we've got some really great courses here which allow you precision future predictive analytics, using, in this case, some really sophisticated volatility modeling, which when you work in finance, volatility is it's a thing that we have to get ready for. And again, you can see here is Professor Chris Bout, and he's a professor of finance and econometrics. So it's not me telling you what to do. It's somebody who really does know his stuff. So we're very happy as well to have you. We're very happy as well to have you complete our Smart Finance course, 50 hours, a really valuable thing to have. on your professional records. And then we've got all sorts of other things. When you've done that kind of self-rescue job, making sure that you're in a safe place, a secure place professionally, you might like to start considering then, oh, what are the options coming to me? Where can I go? Some of the exciting things where we might want to go are working with the large language models. What these do, I mean, these ChatGPT, Gemini, what these are. What these do that really is a game changer for finance is, in the past, we've had algorithms that work with unstructured data, free text, images, things that you can't stick in Excel. And we've had algorithms that work with data tables, Excel. But we've never had before an algorithm that can merge the two. And that's what, unfortunately, the large language model can do. It can create a beautiful report from a data table. It manages to merge those two data types seamlessly. And that's where the real threat is starting to come from. But when I say seamlessly, it's semi-intelligent. It's not that smart. And so that's why we still need humans in there. And so here's an example. If you are willing to trust your Excel skills and your DAX modeling in Excel, and have the confidence to say, you know what, I think I can do R. If Claire, book author, can do R, you can do R. Trust me. And we've got all sorts of things like equity valuation, bond valuation, financial training, signal-based strategies, credit risk modeling. We've got decision trees, machine learning algorithm. This is a machine learning algorithm you can run yourself, and it's really easy and it's really good. You won't believe how accessible it is. And it gives you another tool to look at the data in front of you. Really great tools. And here's my screenshot. We've got lots and lots of things in there for you. So I'm going to say that my prediction for you, honestly, I don't know. Having experienced technical disruption to my profession that I valued, don't underestimate it. It's coming. And the sooner you can get yourself from the highest risk strategy of I'm going to wait, I'm going to do nothing, to a safer place, the better. When we make this change, the thing that shocked me and continues to shock me, and also, I think with our colleagues who are relatively new to the world of AI, what was true last year is not true this year. The pace of change is overwhelming. And so once we get you to that little new trajectory, once we get you on a slightly safer trajectory where your career as a decision intelligence finance expert is in a much more secure position, one of the things you're going to be a bit shocked by is, you know what, you're going to have to revisit this next year, because even things like ChatGPT is not the same this year as it was last year. From a user perspective, you might not have seen any changes, but there's been a lot happening in the background. And so one of the things we're also looking at to make sure that associate status retains its professional value in the hiring place is an annual recertification, so that you can evidence the fact that you are really taking responsibility for this. You have understood what's coming. You've understood the pace of change. And when I say annual recertification, we're not talking about, retraining in a new career, but we are saying, what is different about using ChatGPT this year compared to last year? Do you understand? Are you able to advise your colleagues intelligently on what is a good strategy for them? And so we're looking at maybe a 10-hour annual update course so that we can keep you ahead. And everybody told me this, that the pace of change is overwhelming. And I was like, yeah. And it's overwhelming. It really is. But again, there are things that we can do. So these are the things that we have lined up as solutions for accountants. I was approached particularly by our friend Sampath with the Sri Lankan chapter of the Institute of Analytics, where I know we have a lot of finance and accounting experts, to consider how we can support better, how we can make sure that his circle of accountants are protected as the changes come. And so this is the response that we have created after listening to you a lot over the last year. And I do hope that we can, if you're not already a member, I hope we can sign you up. If you are a member, I would encourage you to start engaging with these courses. The Future Accountant will be released next week. The portfolio will be released next month. So it's an exciting time for us with lots of new solutions coming.